Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at 3 cities in Orange County that are entering a buyer's market, and the last one is actually already in a very deep buyer's market with tons of price reductions. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ian Phillips. I'm a realtor in Orange County, and I love diving into the housing data, talking about what's going on in the economy and how it all relates to the housing market, and primarily Orange County specific content. If you like this video, subscribe for more, and if you're looking for an agent in the area, check out my website in the description below. It has a home search, free home valuation, mortgage calculator, and you can contact me via that website. Let's get straight into the video. Okay, so the first city we're going to be looking at is Newport Coast, probably the most luxurious market in the entire state of California. It's one of the most desired cities for wealthy individuals to live. And as you can see, we have just entered a balanced market, but we are on the cusp of a buyer's market. If you're unaware, a buyer's market technically means 6 or more months of inventory supply, and we are at 6.06. So technically a buyer's market, but more like a deep balanced market. On average, homes are selling for 3.5% below list price, and we're going to be taking a look at median days on market and the median home value later on in the chart. But month supply of inventory is your key indicator for letting you know whether you're buying or selling within the next 6 months, what the market is doing. It essentially takes into account all homes available for sale and the number of homes that are getting into escrow, which is essentially buyer demand. So let's look at the chart and we can kind of see what Newport Coast has been doing, which is this blue line here. And as you can see, as it relates to Orange County, which is this orange line down below, Newport Coast had a pretty decent correction in 2022, same as Orange County. Prices dropped from $3.9 million down to $3.5 million. So a pretty decent correction. And since then, things have just carried on going up. As I mentioned, it's one of the most desirable cities in the state for wealthy individuals to live. And it's no surprise that the median home value is now $4.6 million. I believe this is the highest in all of Southern California. There might be a couple neighborhoods in LA that are higher than Newport Coast, but as far as separate areas, Newport Coast is one of the most expensive places to live. And if you're familiar with Newport Coast, you'll know why. It has luxury gated communities. Location is incredible, close to the North County and close to South County. You don't have that traffic like you do in Laguna Beach, as an example. And you're also away from the center of Newport Beach, so you also don't have that traffic. And Newport Coast, when you're driving around, it just has this sense of luxury. The roads are immaculate. Everything around is just maintained to absolute perfection, and it just feels like a luxury town. So let's take a look at active listings. There are now 49 homes on the market. We are still below pre-pandemic levels. As you can see, in June of 2020, there were 92 homes on the market. So we're still kind of seeing not many sellers interested in putting their homes available for sale, but it has more than doubled in the last year. You can see in February, March of 2024, there were only 25 homes available. So although Newport Coast is such a small area, not many people want to sell. And as of right now, there are less buyers than there have been for quite a while. And we can see that in number of pending listings. There were only 8 homes that went into escrow last month. And in March of 2023, 20 people were buying homes. But this sort of has been bouncing between 8 and, let's see, what is this, 12 homes getting into escrow. So not a whole lot of buyer demand over the last, 2 years or so. And as a result, buyers right now have significantly more negotiating power than they've really had for the last 2-3 years. Number of sold listings, fairly flat in the last couple of years, same as pending. It would be weird if pending and sold were a hugely different number. Month supply of inventory, the main factor that you need to be paying attention to, like I mentioned, we are now at a little over 6 months of supply. It looks like in July of last year, roughly a year ago, we went up to 6.5. So it'll be interesting to see if in the second half of 2025, if month supply of inventory will actually surpass what we saw in 2024. If we take a look at active listings, which was 49, that is higher than it was a year ago. So in my opinion, we will see higher month supply of inventory in the second half of this year. So what do you need to know if you're a seller? Well, expect your house to stay on the market for longer. There's more competition for selling your home, and buyers on average are getting houses for 3.5% below list price. Now the next place we're going to be taking a look at is Newport Beach. And as of right now, it is about to be in a buyer's market, a little under 5 months of supply, so technically still in favor of being a balanced market, but we are approaching this buyer's market territory very fast. Similar to Newport Coast, homes on average are selling for 3.5% below list price. So that's good to know if you're thinking of buying a house here or selling a house, you kind of know what to expect in the market. Estimated median home value is now $3.2 million. Again, one of the more higher end cities in Southern California. And if you're familiar with Newport Beach, you will know why. So similar in 2022, Newport Beach did have a mild correction in 2022, not as noticeable as Newport Coast, which had a substantial correction. But prices have just carried on going up since then. Now, of course, Newport Coast has outperformed Newport Beach as a whole, but like I mentioned, Newport Coast is one of the most desirable places in the entire state for wealthy individuals to live. Active listings, 262 homes available for sale. And this has been increasing quite a lot since January of 2024 when there were 170, and significantly more than February of 2022 when there were only 100 homes on the market. So there are significantly more homes available for sale now than there have been for the last, let's say, 3 years. Really, still below pre-pandemic levels, but we are slowly catching up. Pending listings, 58 homes are roughly getting into escrow every month, and this has been flat for the last 2.5 years. You can see in November of 2022, there were only 38 homes getting into escrow, but this sort of has been bouncing between 77 and 45-ish. So we're sort of right in the middle. Sold listings, 66. This kind of looks like it is a little bit on an uptrend. So potentially we're seeing more buyers stepping into the market in Newport Beach compared to Newport Coast. And it kind of makes sense when you have a median home value over $1 million less, you're likely going to have a larger buyer pool. Month supply of inventory, this is actually the highest it's been in the last 5 years. And we are now at 4.9 months of supply. So if we continue to see active listings increasing in the second half of this year, this is absolutely going to enter a buyer's market. And the opposite, if more buyers are stepping into the market, maybe we have peaked at month supply of inventory and we start trending down in the second half of this year. If history is any indication, second half of the year is the best time for buyers to be stepping into any housing market. And it's even the same for Orange County. Now, the last one I told you is a deep buyer's market. That is Laguna Beach. Almost 10 months of available supply. On average, homes are selling for 4.5% below list price. We'll take a look at days on market as well as median sold price shortly here. Taking a look at the chart, Laguna Beach did actually hit a new all-time high for the median home value, $3,060,000. However, in 2022, the median home value in Laguna Beach was $3 million. So prices have really, relatively speaking, done nothing since 2022. It had a decent correction going down to $2.75, $2.7 million. So it had a good drop. But now home values are basically back to where they were in 2022. Now, there could be a couple reasons for this. Because we technically are in a buyer's market, there could just be significantly more higher end homes getting sold rather than the lower priced $1.5, $2 million homes, which are few and far between in Laguna. But say, for example, you get 50 homes between $10 and $20 million getting sold, that will significantly improve the median home value because of all those higher end homes that are selling in Laguna Beach. Let's take a look at active listings. There are now 230 homes available for sale, and this is almost where we were back in June of 2020. Median days on market, currently 90 days until a house gets into escrow. And last year in December, we were 118 days. My expectation is we will be higher than this come December of 2025, as we are seeing a lot more homes on the market and less buyers stepping into the market as well. And that is indicative of pending listings, which if we look at December of 2024, November, there were 38 homes getting into escrow, and now there's 29. But again, we have been relatively flat for the last couple years, so it'll be interesting to see how the second half of the year goes. Sold listings, sort of similar to Newport Beach. You have a modest uptrend here, 27 sold last month, up from, if we look at January of 2024, only 16. But again, on average, homes are selling for 4.5% below list price. So we'll have to see how the second half of the year goes. Month supply of inventory, this is the big one, substantially higher than we've been for the last 5 years. You can see even in December of last year, there were 6 months of supply. Now there's almost 10. So we'll see if this goes up for the rest of the year. My expectation is yes. Now, I do want to make a few points. Buyers, if you are jumping into this market right now in any of these 3 cities, you have significantly more negotiating power than you have had for really the last 5 years. We are seeing homes go for 5% below list price. In some cases in Laguna Beach, I've seen 10% below list price. So if your agent is not aware of what the market is doing in your local area, you need to get one who is and understands that you don't need to pay list price in most cases for a lot of homes on the market. Again, if you're looking for an agent who's familiar with the markets in these cities, reach out. I'd love to chat. We can go over a game plan on how to navigate your situation. And sellers, you need to be a little more realistic with your list price. Understand that homes on average are sitting longer than have been for the last few years. There's significantly more homes available for sale, and there are less buyers, which we can see in month supply of inventory. And remember, on average, homes are selling for 4% below list price. So that is definitely something that you need to be aware of as a seller. And if your agent is telling you some astronomical number that they can sell your house for, chances are they just want to get a listing contract signed, and they will just let you know in 2 months that you need to drop the price. 2 months later, we need to do another price drop. We're not getting any showings. No one's coming through the open house. 2 months later, drop the price to where it should have been listed for in the first place. This is a very common tactic that listing agents use just to get a contract, because they want to use your listing to try get your neighbor's listing or another listing in the community. So just be aware of that. That is a very common tactic, particularly in the luxury market. If you like this video, subscribe for more. And once again, my name is Ian Phillips. I'm a realtor in Orange County. I'll be uploading weekly videos, diving into the market, letting you know what's going on. So if you like this video, subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.